By the time I upload this, I'm sure the video will already have been released, but Tyre Nichols was murdered by 5 police officers in Memphis the other night. The footage is apparently so bad that we're being warned on a nationwide scale to calm the fuck down before it even comes out. And that either means that there are some police officers that have seen this footage who are genuinely in agreement with what the protesters are going to think. Either that, or, more than likely, it is so bad, officers are just trying to back off before any of this escalates too much, just to cover their own ass. Appropriate questions that we should be asking right now: what does it mean when apparently footage is so bad that police are disavowing it hours before any of us are being made aware of what's going on? How much of the context is being explained to us, and how much is being left out? How much needs to be pointed out and mentioned after that footage is released? What is the motivation of officers for disavowing it? For disavowing it because they actually are against what the officers have done in this scenario. Are they going to do anything else to promote any of the causes or activism happening in protest of police activity? Or is it simply going to be them disavowing it, releasing the footage, and then expecting everything to just be fine after that? What kind of people have been drawn to become police officers within the past 10 years? After all, it has been 11 years since Trayvon Martin was killed by George Zimmerman, so that would make Black Lives Matter an 11-year-old movement. Within these past 11 years, what kind of people have been motivated to join the police force? What kind of news have they been intaking? What motivations do they have politically, if any? What affiliations do they have politically, if any? What is their online presence? What is their online history? Who have they been getting into personal squabbles with? Who do they have problems with personally, but not legally? Who have they had problems with legally, but not personally? It's not like any of that information is going to go onto the record. Furthermore, what's the online history of the deceased? What has been the political affiliations, if any, of the people that have been targeted, harassed, and eventually killed by police officers? Were these people profiled? Was their personal information leaked online? Are these officers funding anybody? What kinds of people have they been funding? None of this goes on to public record. It's as confidential as crime would be. As if any of these officers would be involved in some kind of gang-related activity, in any kind of drug trafficking, human trafficking, if they have assaulted people, if there's any ongoing violence that they have going on, if there's any kind of financial schemes that they have been running, if they are involved in any kind of mob-related activity, if they're committing fraud. None of these things would go on public record if a police officer were doing them, because they would just lose their job and get arrested. It would definitely still be a motivator for them doing things like profiling people, targeting them, killing them when they don't need to. All of these are things that would not be talked about if they were motivations for killing somebody. So if they were, let's say, extremist of some kind, or, dirty cops, that's not going to go on record. What kinds of people are already, before this footage has even come out, questioning the legitimacy of any of this, immediately calling it fake news, and going to find a way to defend these officers regardless of what has happened the moment that it's released? And what are those people going to do to make sure that we look like we are crazy, and we don't want any law and order, and we just want chaos, and also we want to cancel everybody, and we don't care about the facts, and blah 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 drivel? What are they going to do? What can we do to make sure that when they inevitably attempt that, they continue to look stupid and worthless? Why the fuck was this person pulled over by an undercover vehicle? If we are expected to peacefully protest instead of riot, then surely we're going to be pushing some kind of policy to be enacted. Now, while it's very difficult to detect whether or not a police officer is like a QAnon conspiracy theorist who's operating with alt-right bad faith operatives on all these message boards and stuff, that's hard to detect. But we can push for a policy to make it illegal for police officers to pull people over from an undercover vehicle, because what defense are people going to make for that? Well, I want to be able to pull over unsuspecting cars, I want to be able to, at the very least, give them a ticket and make them pay money for driving how they were when they thought nobody was looking at them, and find random misdemeanors to pull them over for. Unless you suspect somebody of harboring a kidnapped person, and then if that's the case, then you better either find a kidnapped person or not find one and go away. That's the only justifiable reason. Should that be more of a leading policy? How are conservatives currently working to make this all look like a smear job on the police right now? How are they scarecrowing us to make it seem like we're going to be a certain type of bad? And what's the straw man that they're going to make up for us afterward? How do we keep people on our own side from misdirecting all of that amped up energy into the wrong direction and making a protest actually look bad? How do we keep them in line to make sure that we don't become Ben Shapiro's next paycheck? How can we identify bad faith operatives that are blending in with the rest of us, looking for coverage that they can use and selectively edit to make us look stupid? How can we identify them when they are in like the thick of it, in the moment? What are things that they're going to say? What are things that they're going to do that make them that are a dead giveaway? And lastly, how you doing today? How you doing? What's up? Doing good? Taking care of yourself? Eating your fruits and veggies? Nah? Hey man, that's cool, man. You do you, man. Shout out to a channel that I don't remember the name of. I'm just gonna put the little usernames on here of the uploaders. And yeah. I'm gonna go get dinner. You're supposed to devote to, and they don't care to fucking know you. And you'll be brighter when you jump into multiple rabbit holes. Find the truth in the places that people tell you not to go to. The tension will turn toxic, remain cautious, and never identify when the fuck it's unwanted. Or what someone will do to you to maintain a godsend complex. Anybody not feel exhausted, irrelevant, irregularly feeling like a pawn? Better fuck, turn a fearful and fanatical nonsense.